Right, I'm not going to make any apologies here, but this could be a reasonably lengthy video. It's a 1-star lock. I don't have the key. It's got sterling written on the side, and it has some serial numbers on there, and also the British standard that this lock adheres to. And if you put that information into a search engine, normally speaking, you'll come back with the specification of that actual cylinder and the standards that it's been tested and approved to. So on this particular cylinder, British Standard TS 007 2014, basically when it's tested to that and it comes back as a 1-star, it means that it's offered a lot of resistance to the popular attacks. The one thing that's missing between a 1-star and a 3-star though is snap protection. So in other words, when the cylinder is attacked in the door using the snapping method, on a 3-star cylinder, the cam will go into a lockdown where you can't open the lock unless you're on the inside. Whereas a 1-star lock, as you can see, you've got a sacrificial cut at the front here, and that sacrificial cut will snap and leave part of the cylinder in the door, but it won't actually lock the cam down. So if we look at the specification on here, it says, very carefully worded, snap safe shear line. So what it means is that if somebody tries to attack this cylinder, this front part here, the sacrificial part will come off. It'll leave what looks to be about 3 pins left in the door, so it still won't turn without the key. But the cam itself is not protected. What else have we got in here? We've got anti-drill hardened pins. You'd expect a lot of protection from drilling. I can see the pins here in the cylinder. It says an anti-bump mechanism, so we'll see if we can work out what that anti-bump mechanism entails. Anti-picked mushroom pins caught my eye. I quite like the idea of that. So there must be some funky pins inside here for us to have a look at. And then there's a few other bits and pieces there about the material it's made from, how many key differs there are, the fact that the cam is offset at 30 degrees, etc. So let's pop that to one side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick this. I'll just pop it in the vise. And what I thought we could do today to get this open is use the domestic Lishi tool. And once I've done that, I was then going to gut the cylinder, and we'll take a look at the contents, hence the length of the video. So these are my domestic Lishi picks, and these are all for standard keyway. At the back here are effectively padlock picks, for want of a better description. And then we start going into the Yale. These are the Yale V2 picks, and these are the Yale version 1 picks. And then at the back there, I've got the American market picks, which are all effectively genuine Lishi tools. So this particular keyway, luckily for us, is a Yale type keyway, which means that we can use the Yale 6 or the Yale 5. The 5 is 5-pin, this is 6-pin. And the 6B, I think Gav said the other day, I was watching one of his videos, the B you can think of as being the pins on the bottom. So when we pop that pick in there, you can see the pins are actually underneath, as you would expect on a Euro cylinder. And if you take the Yale 6 and pop that in, what you'll notice is I can't see the scale, and that's because the Yale 6 is good for picking locks when they're on the left-hand side, and the 6B is great for picking locks when they're on the right-hand side, because you can see the scale and see what you're doing. So let's have a little pick with this Lishi tool. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to see if I can lock the focus down. Hopefully that's in focus. And one of the first things that you should always do is check that you've got access to all of the pin chambers. So even before you pick up the tension, just run your pick tip along and make sure you have access to everything inside the lock. And what you will notice on this lock, I have access to all the chambers, but also the lines, the gradations on this Lishi style 2-in-1 pick actually line up. So that's going to be a great bonus. So golden rule of Lishi picking is pick the tension up and just test each pin. You can see I'm just very gently pushing that. If it bounces like this, you don't need to pick. So 1 is bouncing, 2, 3, 4 is bouncing, 5 is bouncing. Something has to be bound in here, and it's 6. That basically the pick goes up so far and then it becomes solid. So what I'm going to do is just lift that pin until it frees up. There we go. That actually freed up, and it gave me quite a bit of rotation on that core, and now it's bouncing at the top there. So, and now 5 is bound, so I'm now going to lift 5 up until it frees up, and I'm backing the tension off. I just had a good click on 5, and that's now bouncing. There's 4, and 4 is actually bouncing right at the bottom there. So a lot of these 1-star locks have a very low lift or a 0 lift pin in, and I would suggest, you see how far 6 has gone up, 5, 4 is bouncing at the bottom, 3 is bound. Let's lift the 3 up. I'm backing the tension off. I'm just wiggling that pick tip underneath the pin, still backing the tension off here, and it's pushing that pin up. That's going a long way up. There we go. So that's now set. 4 is still set, 5 is still set, 6 is still set, and 3 is right up there. Let's go to 2. 2 is now bound. There we go. I've just literally touched 2 and it's gone into a full set. You can see I've got a very obvious rotation on there. So now we're balanced on a spool pin, or maybe one of these magic mushroom pins that the description was referring to. And pin 1 is absolutely solid. So now to get this lock open, I'm going to have to back the tension off manually and feed in some counter rotation with the arm here while I'm pushing up on this pin. So let me just push that up. It's really heavily bound, so the spool pin is not making its way up that pin chamber yet. Now it is. It's just starting to loosen off, and I'm just going to lift that up. Going to try and control this as much as possible. I really am backed off quite a lot now. Still backing off. Still trying to get that pin up. That really is solid. There we go. Right, okay, so we've got the lock. So as you saw, there was a massive amount of counter rotation on that to get that to pick. And at this stage now, of course, we can do the decode if we wanted to. So we've got a high lift pin on 6, 5 is a medium, so 4 is a very low lift pin there. 3 is medium, 2 is a lowish, and 1, as you can see, is sort of a medium lift. So that's effectively the bitting and the key. So we do have what I would call a 0 lift followed by a deep lift pin at the back there, and that's effectively like a guard pin to make it harder to pick. So what we're going to do is we're going to rotate that round halfway, and we're going to take the pick out. Now I'm going to get on to gutting this. So let's just take that out. We'll back the camera off just a bit more, and then we'll just go take the focus off. Right, okay. So if I move the camera over a little bit so we can see what we're doing over here. There we go. Excellent. So let's get the Lishi picks out of the way. These really are a fantastic tool. When you start to get to understand the feedback on them, they make a huge amount of sense. And also, which is really quite interesting, if you can open domestic locks of these, nearly every single auto lock that you're ever likely to come across on a car, the wafer locks on cars, you'll be able to pick them because they're actually easier than the domestic locks, and the Lishi tools work in exactly the same way. Right, okay, so let's have a look at gutting. This is the fantastic Andrew Law Locks pinning tray, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this pin-in shoe and just pop it down there, and what that's going to do is it's going to stop the driver pins from popping back up into the cylinder, so I can take this core out and And then when that's out, we can then take the individual pins out and see what we've got. First things first, we need to deal with this really awkward clip. These take forever sometimes. Let's see how quickly we can get this. Oh, there we go. We're straight underneath this one. It's one of those ones that needs to be bent to get it off. So that's nearly there. There we go. That's it. Off you come. Let's just see whether that's enough. These can be a real nemesis. There's lots of different tools for doing this particular job. Out you come. Let's get the other side of it. Probably would have been easier to have taken this off before the pinning shoe was put in. Right, there we go, that's got it. Now that looks like I've absolutely butchered that, but when it comes to putting the cylinder back together, a good pair of these will allow you to compress that back round and put the cylinder back together. So let's pop that into this part of the tray here where we can store our bits and pieces. Now, in theory, there's nothing holding this core in now, so I should be able to extract that. Pins and all, so let's just see what happens. There it comes. Excellent, so no surprises there, and we'll have a look at the contents of that in a minute. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this pin extraction tool in there so we can then take the pinning shoe out. There we go. So right, which order do we want to do this? Let's do the key pins first. Let's get a pair of tweezers. And we might just zoom in on that pinning tray for you. The wind's really picking up here. They're promising thunder this afternoon. Right, okie dokie. So what do we got? We've got the first pin that's come out is one of those torpedo pins. There we go. That's a torpedo key pin. I'll show these in close up in a bit. Second is another torpedo. Third, looks like they're all pretty much the same. The fourth key pin is a standard anti-drill, so it's made of an anti-drill material. There's fifth, which is torpedo, and six. So we've got some pretty nice looking key pins there. The Lishi tool really didn't struggle with those whatsoever, so that's quite interesting. And on the actual core itself, there are 4 pins here which are anti-drill. So this core itself has a massive amount of protection on the front there. Should you decide to try and drill it. And if you get past those pins there, you've then got the actual key pin there, which is made of steel. So that's going to be much hard. It's going to be a hard thing to basically drill. I can't see anything milling wise. It's all pretty standard there. Right, let's get these driver pins out. So if we rotate this round, in a second we'll get the first pin popping up. There it is. Okay, let's take that out. So the first driver pin is a lovely spool pin. That's the last one that we picked actually. If we get the springs out while we're doing this, then we won't damage them. There it is at the back. Out you come. There's the second one. That's a spool pin as well. We've got two springs at the back now. There's one spring. The other one's just floating around there. It won't do any harm. Let's go for the third key pin. Sorry, third driver pin even. Everything seems to want to be stuck. That's a lovely spool pin as well. spring out. There's the fourth. What have we got there? Looks like yet another, no, it's not a spool pin, it's just a plain anti-drill. So we got the two anti-drill pins are actually in the same chamber. And there's our spool pin there on 5. And then finally the last one is well, that's an interesting, it's a tapered, looks like it's got a tapered top and bottom on that pin. So that's the first one that bound, and it's the first one that's set. And so it's kind of tapered top and bottom. So potentially, I suppose you could say that is going to be in fact, it's almost barrel shaped. You could say that is an anti-bump pin, but that's a bit tenuous. And we've actually managed to get this apart with all of the springs intact, which is excellent. There we go, stick those in there. Right, all of the springs look the same. So there isn't a timing spring in there, which means that when you're bumping, you're going to have things moving at different rates. And if I can just see, I don't think there's any counter milling in any of these holes there in the cylinder. So there we go. That's the contents of this 1 star. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these up on the screen so you can see the pins in all their glory. So, well, thanks for sticking with me for 16, 17 minutes. And yeah, that's this Sterling 1 star, what you can find inside there. And it's the unabridged version of me picking it, gutting it, so you can see what was involved. I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks a lot, and see you next time.